Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
I would like to call to order the meeting of the Neenah Common Council for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018. Now, this is a meeting that we pushed back a week because we will not be meeting on the 3rd of July, 4th of July, because of the holiday. So we moved this, so we combined two meetings into one, and that's why we are meeting on a night not normally our regularly scheduled night, so we appreciate coming tonight. First item of business is the roll call. Members will answer the clerk as your name is called and sign in on the roll call machine, please.
Alderman Boyette.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Steele.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
And Stevens.
Here. All members are present. There's a quorum present. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Alderman Steele.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, have another exciting night, public safety and for the police department. We have, first item on our agenda is a swearing-in ceremony for Officer Ashley Burrows. I'd call Chief Olson to the front, please, Chief.
We're very excited at the Neenah Police Department to introduce our newest family member, Ashley Burrows, even though she's not new because she's been with us for 4 years as a community service officer and aide. So probably everyone up here has met her, whether it's through a call or mail delivery or whatnot. And we're very proud to have her because we know who she is because we've had her for so long. We know that she's going to treat people well. We know that she'll treat people with dignity, respect, and she'll be a great ambassador for our city. She graduated from Menasha High School just a few years ago. UW Oshkosh last December, and then she graduated our police academy here in Appleton just in May, and she was hired this month as an officer. So we're very fortunate to have her. It came down to timing. We didn't want to lose her. We got her, so we're really happy. So with that, we will have the swearing in.
Clerk Stern will come down and perform the swearing in.
Okay. Can you move a little closer to the microphone, both of you? Okay, if you'll raise your right hand. I, Ashley Burrows, having been appointed a police officer
Have been appointed a police officer
for the city of Neenah,
for the city of Neenah,
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution
to support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Wisconsin,
of the state of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of a police officer
of a police officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that was Grandpa Bert, thank you. And Pastor David Scarson from St. Timothy, Menasha. If you could come up and bless the badge, please. You can just stand here with her.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we commend to your gracious care and keeping all the women and men of our police forces throughout the United States. And on this special day for Ashley and the city of Neenah, we ask that you defend Ashley day by day with your heavenly grace, strengthen her in any trials and temptations that she may face, give her courage to face the perils that may surround her, and grant her a sense of your abiding presence wherever she may be. Through Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen.
Now if we could call up her dad, Jerry, and mother, Laura, to pin the badge, please. You want to say a few words?
Sure.
Okay. Perfect. Take all night.
Hi. I just want to say that I'm very honored and proud to be wearing this uniform today. It's always been my dream to be a police officer, and then working with the department for the last 4 years, I'm very blessed to be a part of the department and being as a community service aide. I've grown to love the city and its people, and I'm very excited to be here as an officer. I just want to thank my family and my friends, all my co-workers, and then the community for supporting me throughout the several years that I've been here. So thank you. I'm very excited.
As you can see, we made a great choice. So Ashley, go do great things. Thank you.
Welcome, Ashley. And now is probably not the time, but as the head of the police department, I'd like to remind you about the parking ticket I received 3 years ago with your number on it. I think I have to sign something yet tonight too, by the way. But
well done, Ashley.
No, we welcome you, and we know that you will. You know, I've seen you in action, and many of us have seen you. You know where all the aldermen live, right? So you've delivered packets to them for many years, but we do want to congratulate you. We do want to welcome you into the Neenah Police Department. We wish you well. We want you to uphold the high standards that we have in this department, treat people with respect and dignity, and be safe out there, okay? Thank you. The rest of the Neenah PD, thanks for coming. Thanks for what you do. Citizens of this community really appreciate your job that you do for each of us each and every day. So thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Or you're welcome to learn about government by staying.
Chief has to stay here right here. We're going to do these required.
Yeah. Chief, there's been a suggestion. Any more of these, you have to bring 15 pieces of cake before you leave. All right, thank you. All right. Item number 2 is introduction and confirmation of mayor's appointments. Tonight we have one reappointment. Mayor Crawford's announcement of his reappointment of Steve Morton to the Police Commission. This term will expire May 2023. Is there a motion? No motion is required. Thank you. Steve is, I believe this year is the president of the Police Commission. He's been with us for many years. He's doing a great job. So he's not here tonight, so I'm sure he'll stop in and get sworn in by the clerk. Item number 3, approval of the council proceedings. We don't have any prepared yet tonight, so we'll wait on. Item number 4 is a public hearing. We have 2 public hearings tonight. One is item number A is to consider the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Program Proposed Use of Funds Annual Action Plan. And then this resolution will be acted on at the July 18th, 2018 council meeting. It says 2019, we'll make that technical correction. Correct? And council meeting. And at this point, I would open up the 2018 Block Grant Program Use of Funds and Annual Action Plan, if anyone would like to speak on that proposal. Is there anyone here who would like to talk to the council about that issue? All right. Seeing no one here for that issue, we will close that public hearing. We will move on to item number B, which is consider an amendment to the master development plan for the cottages at Woodside Green Plan Development District. Consideration will be given to modifying outlet number 2 in the cottages at Woodside Green subdivision to change from open space and self-storage use to open space and single-family residential use. There was a public hearing held on this last night by the Plan Commission, just so folks know. And at this point, I would open up the public hearing to this item and welcome people up front. Mr. Winkle, come on up. Please, all we ask is that you state your name and your address for the record, and you can proceed to.
Good evening. My name is David Winkle. I live at 1319 Indigo Drive in Neenah. I bought the land north of cottages at Woodside Green in 2014 to develop into single-family residences. Cottages at that point had a private road of Dogwood Trail, and so after about 8-9 months, I was able to work with the city to turn that road public so I could get to my 18 acres and develop it. At that point, Horicon State Bank had taken back all the unsold lots and cottages at Woodside Green, and they also had a mortgage in the road. So they said they weren't going to release their mortgage unless I bought all the lots from them. I really wasn't interested in that phase of the development in cottages, but I did buy the lots from them after I approached the Plan Commission and proposed making the lots larger and buildable because they had languished from 2008 to 2015 with only 8 houses built. 8 lots sold, 8 houses built. The Plan Commission approved unanimously reconfiguring all the vacant lots, which were 28 at that point, taking some land from the outlots. I also bought not only the 28 vacant lots, but I bought 5 outlots, one of which was the road, gave it to the city. And I had a plan for reconfiguring the lots, and the Plan Commission unanimously approved that reconfiguration. We went from 36 lots to 25 lots. The lots were bigger. I felt they were now marketable, so I could get my money back from when I had to pay the bank to get the road, basically. And sure enough, the lots were marketable. They sold quickly. Houses were built quickly. There were 2 lots out of that 25 that were non-buildable because they weren't deep enough. They were on the east side of Dogwood Trail. The lots, the adjoining neighbor owned the property. There was nothing that could be done about it. I did buy that land from the adjoining neighbor, made those 2 lots buildable. I annexed that land to the city. I also added 2 more lots. So in 2016, we now had 27 buildable lots. At this stage, they're all built on. But a little twist happened. That's why I'm here today. One neighbor who bought lot 2, the second lot in on Dogwood Trail, asked if they could buy lot 1 to add to their lot and make it bigger. I agreed and sold that lot with a permanent building restriction on it. So a house could never be built on lot 1. My deal was to take that home that was going to be put on lot 1 on the west side of Dogwood Trail, move it across the street to outlot 2. Because there's sewer, there's water, there's hookup there. Didn't really matter which side of the road it was on, in my opinion. The other thing is that there was one of the lots that was between 2 existing houses, I sold to the neighbors half each. So as we sit today, there's 25 buildable lots in the subdivision. The city has approved 27. So I had the brilliant idea, which is maybe not turning out to be so brilliant anymore, of taking outlot 2, which was the only outlot I hadn't touched. It's 3.5 acres in size, and putting 2 houses on outlot 2. So I was told by community development that I had to apply for an amendment to the master plan, pay $400, fill out an application. I did that. That resulted in this public hearing. I was dismayed when I came to the Plan Commission, and there were neighbors who showed up and who bought lots from me, but now didn't want anyone else to buy lots from me. When they bought into the subdivision, either thought there were going to be 38 people in there, or 38 homes, or 27, depending on when they bought, and now they don't even want there to be 27 anymore. You know, I represent developers for 30 years. I always hear people come out and say, we live across from an empty field, we want it to be an empty field, we don't want to pay for it, but we want it to be an empty field. I always give the have and have not speeches. I'm not going to give it tonight. But it is a little disconcerting when you hear that. The other thing that happened is there was on outlot 2, originally planned as part of the master plan when it was a condominium subdivision. I think you guys all know it was about a 2,600 square foot maintenance building was going to be built there with a 10,000 square foot driveway. That was going to house snow plows, grass cutting equipment, other maintenance equipment, because it was a condominium development. In 2013, this council approved changing it from condominium to single family residential, 36 lots, of which I bought the 28 that weren't sold 2 years later. I don't think there should be a maintenance shed there anymore. So of the 2 houses I'm proposing on that outlot, one would replace the maintenance shed, one would replace the house. It's not going to be built across on the west side of Dogwood, across the street. So it would still only be 27 houses, when in reality, in my belief, the master plan has 27 single-family homes and 1 maintenance shed to be built on there. So I really don't think I have to amend the master plan, but I agreed with community development not to fight that, and so I'm here today requesting amendment of the master plan. I don't want the tail to wag the dog. What's in front of the council to be voted on, not tonight, but whenever the mayor schedules it, isn't for me to put 1 or 2 lots on outlot 2. It's just to amend the master plan to allow that if it meets all the requirements of the city. So that's why I don't want the tail to wag the dog. I have spent a lot of money already with McMahon doing stormwater analysis, even though I believe Martinson Isley did it in 2007, and McMahon verified that those figures are correct and there isn't a stormwater issue. We have a pond right there on the east side of Dogwood. I think it makes good planning. I think it complies with the master plan. I'm not asking to change the master plan to put in a business or a commercial use, single-family residential, which is what this subdivision always has been since 2007. So I guess in summary, I think putting 2 homes on outlot 2, which is 3.65 acres, is a good thing. I think to have a lot that big is a bad thing that's not developed. My very first development in 1992, I came in front of this council. I'm not sure if I recognize any faces, but I proposed a large lot in that development. I was told the city doesn't like large single-family lots. It's a waste of space. in my one large acre lot, they could get 4 quarter-acre lots. I changed the plan to put in 4 quarter-acre lots. So I'm back here today following what the city told me 25 years ago, in that if we have a 3.5 acre lot that's buildable, if it's in a single-family residential district, we could put some lots on there. And in this case, the density, as I said, went from 38, which it was supposed to be in 2007 and 2013, 36, excuse me, plus a shed, 37, down to what is now 25, and I'd like to get it back to 27. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Winkle? Anyone else like to address the council? Welcome.
Margaret Lorenz, 1228 Dogwood Trail. I speak for myself and my husband Harvey, who is out of town today, as well as for numerous neighbors, some of whom are here tonight and others of whom have previous commitments. We are much appreciative of your previous decisions regarding a possible street name change and providing city garbage collection to our subdivision. Thank you all. This time I'm speaking in response to the notice that a public hearing will be held here tonight by the City of Neenah regarding a possible amendment to the Master Development Plan for the cottages at Woodside Green Plan Development District to consider modifying Outlot 2 in the cottages at Woodside Green subdivision to single-family residential use. Now, I know that such an item is not on your agenda for tonight, and in fact, you haven't received notice of any such recommendation from the Planning Commission. Doesn't that seem kind of backward to you, to hold a hearing for neighbors to express their thoughts even before a possible recommendation is formulated and brought before the council? Once again, the Woodside Green subdivision stands as the poster child for trial and error neighborhood planning. It's clear on many fronts that the original development concept, one approved by the city in 2007, did not succeed. The subsequent change to fee simple ownership and then to increased lot sizes made a difference to prospective owners, such that we now have a fully built neighborhood, welcome for several reasons, but also coming at a financial and ecological cost to the original plan, and especially to the residents, both the original owners and newer ones who bought into the concept of an environmentally friendly neighborhood. All of us can speak about the wildlife population and how important the habitat is to animal life in general, to the enjoyment of our daily life, what an important factor that was in purchasing in this particular subdivision, and how that will be altered by building in one or even part of one of the natural outlots. Anyone who was at the Loop the Lake Trail dedication on Saturday saw by the assembled crowd an enthusiastic response to a full half hour of official speeches how important environmental amenities are to Neenah's population. How can the city justify supporting that particular feature and immediately thereafter consider compromising another previously agreed upon area set aside for nature? Think for a minute about the possible headlines. Neenah spends millions on developing walking trails, then votes to eliminate animal habitats. At the Planning Commission meetings, we neighbors asked many questions about utility easements, natural watershed areas, water flow provisions, and appropriateness of a residential lot at such a place within the subdivision, none of which have been directly answered. I believe that our comments and questions have been included in the June 12 and June 26 Planning Commission minutes. I won't go over everything again here. If you haven't seen them, let me know and I will forward copies for your study. The mayor or Mr. Schmidt or one of our council representatives can provide our email address. The commission recommendations was once delayed because of late notice that the petitioner could not attend the first meeting. And again last night because his supporting surveyor's report arrived too late to be considered by the commission members before their second meeting, thus leading to this awkward situation of my talking to you about an issue not even on your agenda. Last night, the developer gave pointless reasons to support his request, such as he was, quote, strong-armed by the bank into purchasing the properties, and he's only substituting one house for another, That because one resident earlier bought from him an adjacent lot to add additional green space, not to move a house from next door to across the street. The split lot he refers to happened long before his purchase of the remaining properties. Why is it his argument now? We're not talking housing density here, we're talking natural habitat. Finally, he ended his comments with the threat that if he couldn't sell another residential lot in that location, it would contain, again I quote, a 2,500 square foot metal storage building. Since when does our city govern by threat instead of considered reasoning? How important is adding one or two more residential lots to the tax rolls versus the cost, financial and environmental, of revising yet again the plan that was so carefully thought out in 2007? Thank you for your time and attention to our concerns, both tonight and if and when a motion is brought forward for your consideration.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council on this public hearing issue? Anyone else? Welcome.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Severson, and I live at 1255 Dogwood Trail. I would be directly across the street from, or kitty corner from Outlet 2. And I just wanted to point out a few reasons. We moved in July of 2016, so this will be year 2. We actually moved into the community from Fond du Lac. And one of the things that really drew us to the Neenah area was just the emphasis on parks and the natural habitat. It was a really great place to raise our family. So my husband and I, when we walked into this property, we knew it was a property we had wanted. We were also informed by our realtor that they were unable to build across the street, which we really valued because then we knew that we'd have the natural habitat with the birds, deer, and variety of other wildlife that we get to see. I'm not sure, am I allowed to ask a question to the developer? No.
You can ask. You can address
like a rhetorical.
Address your question to us. And
okay.
We'll...
I mean, the first question I would have is, we're talking about that the original plan was for the 27 houses, and that those other lots had been open. I was just curious if that was disclosed with the people who had purchased the lot. That if they purchased that lot, then a home would move in across the street, and seeing if that was part of that. And then just again going with the original plan and the agreement that it would maintain the wildlife and the prairie across the street from us. So we would hope you take into consideration our comments, that we would like to just leave it as is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to address? Anyone else? Mr. Winkle, would you like to comment on her question or not? Come on up to the microphone, please, Dave. Thank you.
I'll admit I don't really understand the question because there is no agreement regarding the outlots. I own the outlots like you own your lot. You can do anything with your lot you want to that's allowed by the city ordinances and law. I can do anything with my property that's allowed by city ordinances and law. You never contacted me before you bought to see what my plans were for my property. Likewise, you have property across the street from you behind you. You never contacted that owner, Mr. Radine, find out what he was going to do with his property.
David, just try to address it.
All right.
That's okay.
Thank you. In any event, I never got contacted by anyone who was going to buy to find out what the plans were of the surrounding lands.
Okay.
So
that's fair. Thank you. Anyone else like to address council? Ben, come on up. Whoops. Come on up, Ben. Go ahead.
Ben Hamblin from McMahon Associates, 1445 McMahon Drive. As part of this approval process, staff had requested that I take a look at these proposed 2 lots from an engineering standpoint. And although engineering has the summary report now, and they're probably reviewing it soon, I can summarize the report briefly for your entertainment. So the original 2007 Martinson and Isley stormwater analysis for cottages of Woodside Green had 3 basins, J, K, and L, which are affected by these 2 lots that are being proposed. So what I did is I analyzed those two and took a look at it from stormwater and just basic engineering perspective. So to briefly conclude my findings, the basic purpose of these two outlots is to replace the two lots that the developer had originally lost, which was the lot 1 at the corner of Dogwood and Delcourt. And then hopefully what won't be built will be that the mini storage unit on outlot 2. The two lots that are being proposed can drain all the impervious surface on those two lots to Stormwater Pond K for treatment peak flow water quality, which would actually improve the overall situation for the three lots there, J, K, and L. And in fact, during doing the stormwater analysis, I found a couple of real simple ways to improve Stormwater Pond K's performance. So the overall total suspended solids being removed from that would increase from 61% to 100%, which would improve the overall watershed and the City of Neenah's stormwater requirements. The original plans from 2007 identified 27% of the area located in basins J, K, and L as impervious surface. With the proposed two residential lots, the total impervious surface would comprise 20% of the same area. In other words, 80% of that area, J, K, and L, would still remain open space, which is actually about 1.25 acres more than what was originally approved in the 2007 Stormwater Management Plan. So apples to apples comparison, with these two proposed lots, there's still 1.25 acres more open space, more natural habitat, more wildlife that would be available as opposed to what was originally approved 11 years ago. Both residential lots can be served with city sanitary and water services. Both proposed residential lots do not violate any of the requirements associated with the existing gas and power company easements. And actually, both proposed lots would act as noise buffers from the highway noise. So once these two buildings are constructed, they would act to deter some noise pollution that most of the residents probably experience on a daily basis along Dogwood. So those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir, if you'd like to come on up, welcome.
Christian Beck, 1263 Dogwood Trail. Did not intend on addressing the committee tonight, but I feel that first I would like to express agreement with Margaret tonight. Everything that she said, I certainly support. We are the lot directly across from the outlot in question, and we had the ones that purchased the extra lot. So my wife and I had moved to this area specifically with the intent on finding a neighborhood that was very natural looking. So it was very purposeful that we moved to this area. And one of the things that was appealing about this neighborhood was the after looking at the proposed plan, or at least the what was agreed upon, we were understanding that the lot was not going to be buildable, so it would remain as is. And as a bonus, we had requested to purchase the lot next to us in order to increase the amount of green space in the area. And we are strongly opposed to developing that lot. I certainly question why it is necessary. We purchased the lot next to us. The developer was indeed paid for that lot. Whether a house was built there is really not of concern, I would say. And we strongly believe that that lot across from us should remain natural and as is. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Close the public hearing. We will move on to the Plan Commission report pertaining to the public hearing. Nice public hearing. Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Plan Commission meeting of June 26, 2018. We will not be making a recommendation regarding ordinance number 2018-09 Cottages at Woodside and Green Master Plan Amendment this evening. We will be considering the information we received late yesterday at our July 10th meeting. However, we do deeply appreciate all of the neighbors coming out to voice their opinions on this at the public hearing. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I would like just add that we're trying to, because we talked to some of the neighbors last night, those of you who were here, we're trying to schedule a meeting for July 10th, as Alderman Lang pointed out, to have the Plan Commission meet. We're polling the members to see if that date is acceptable to most or all the members. So that's the first thing. And I just feel somewhat compelled, because Margaret brought up asking a question why we're considering this tonight. So I just want to be clear, and Margaret knows that last night there were two unusual events that took place during the Plan Commission. Number one, we did receive some information during the day from the petitioner, but we got it late. Secondly, the Director of Public Works was not able to attend the meeting due to a medical. Wouldn't let him out of Theta Clark. So I think that's a pretty good reason. And so we discussed it, we held the public hearing, and then we made a decision to wait until we had the opportunity to have the Director of Public Works answer some of our questions. Why we're here tonight is also known, and that's because by law we have to schedule a public hearing so many days ahead of time and post it and also publish it. And so the meeting for tonight was already published, as I understand, in the paper and everything, and that's why we're here. So I just don't want anyone to think that, you know, we're doing something wrong, because we're not. And so we're here because this was how it was supposed to play out, but circumstances didn't allow that on both sides. So, but I understand the frustration, and we listened last night to the neighborhood, and the bottom line is we'll be considering all these things on July 10th, it looks like. And then lastly, well, I don't know if, I suppose we're still talking about this issue. I just want to take the opportunity to tell not just these neighbors, but people who may be listening, that we love it when you buy property in the city of Neenah and build lots in that, but, and this isn't a slam against the realtors, but don't always listen to your realtor. The best thing to do is also to check with the city, to find out, because sometimes realtors may not give you the correct answer through no fault of their own, but they may not give you the correct answer. The correct answer, most of the time, can come from the community development office within the government municipality. Because in this case, if you were told that nothing would ever be built on Outlet 2, the planned development for many years showed a possible warehouse building on Outlet 2. So that realtor, a possible building. So the realtor wasn't totally correct. So I just make that as a general statement. And I tell people that all the time, because they'll call me at the mayor's office and say, I was told by my realtor something, and we're buying this house, and is this correct information? So I think I just kind of educational. Okay? So,
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
it would be appropriate for the, based on the Plan Commission action, for the motion to be to postpone consideration of the ordinance to the July 18th meeting.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Alderman Lang, let's get a motion on this. Okay. Alderman Lang, would you like to make that motion to
Yes.
for action on this till the July 18th meeting?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Alderman Lang moves to defer action on this till the August 18th meeting. Is there a second? Alderman Lang
July.
moves, seconded by
Yes, July
July
18th.
July 18th. Seconded by Alderman Stevens. There's a motion on the floor. Alderman.
Thank you. There was a couple of questions. When we get the recommendation from the Plan Commission, would there be another public hearing scheduled, or would they be at least able to speak before we have it on our, like even in public forum before we got to that, or? Okay, so, because right now we have it where we would have decided it before we actually get to public forum on the agenda list.
Because we had a public hearing.
Okay, so otherwise it would be in the public, the Plan Commission area.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. The other question I had, and this is, I don't know if I can ask this or not, I'll ask it to you. I was going to ask Mr. Hamblin, one of the questions that had arisen was about whether or not it was considered wetlands. And I don't think anybody actually had an answer, and I was just wondering if their study actually looked at that or not.
How about if we, Mr. Hamlin, speak to that question in the public? Okay. Unless you want to ask unanimous consent to.
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, there's a motion and a second to defer this action until July 18th council meeting. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. So the next item up will be the public forum. This is an opportunity to speak on any topic. So if you'd like to speak again, you're welcome to. If you would like to add something, that's fine too. Or on any topic, on any matter, does not have to pertain to any agenda item. Here in Neenah, we allow people to come and talk to their government. So is there anyone here who would like to address the council? First, let's take Ben. Ben, come on up and answer that question. Then we'll take Margaret.
Thank you for your question. Regarding wetlands on that Outlot 2, there are no mapped wetlands at this time. The cottages at Woodside Green 2007 stormwater report did a wetland delineation at that time, and from that report, nothing is mapped. Through the comments from staff, when engineering looks at it, if they're going to want us to take a look at it in a little deeper, more detail regarding wetlands, we can do that. But I would think that staff and I could probably take a look at it and see whether or not there is a concern regarding that.
Does the DNR have to agree with your determination?
Yeah, depending on if there are specific criteria met on that property, natural criteria that would require it, yes. If needed, what would most likely occur is a reaffirming of what was previously delineated to reconfirm that it's still up to snuff.
Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Margaret, on back up.
Margaret Lorenz, 1228 Dogwood Trail. Just a real short answer, Ms. Bates. We get lost in the semantics of wetlands. I don't know. I believe him if he says it was not a mapped wetland area. It is a natural watershed area for Lake Winnebago, and that's important too. The swales, if you will, or rain gardens, which are natural filtration ponds so that the rain that falls gets filtered naturally into the creek and into the water, Lake Winnebago ultimately. That's why we don't have storm sewers. That's important, whether it's qualified as a wetland only 2 weeks of the year when it floods, or if it's an actual wetland all year round. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to address the council on any topic? Okay. Close the public forum. And thank you all for coming. We are going to send out postcards if the meeting is July 10th. Those will be going out shortly. We'll be hearing from the members, and then we'll send out postcards to the impacted property owners. Okay? Thank you all for coming. Item number 8 is a consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Lundrum, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom, to approve the consent agenda. Discussion, Alderman Bates.
Yes, just for some informational items, I'd like to pull out item C for the future Neenah manhole cover madness to our regular public services report.
Which item?
C?
C. Alderman Bates requests item C be pulled out of the consent agenda at this time and acted on later in the agenda. All in favor of the consent agenda will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. The report of the standing committee. There was no meeting of the Public Services and Safety on June 26th, but item number B is the Special Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of June 25th, 2018. Chairperson Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. The committee recommended approval of the Police Department's request to participate in the Bureau of Transportation Safety, BOTS, operating while intoxicated grant, and I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Lang. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor vote aye, all opposed vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
For item 2, the committee had a good discussion on many points of the solid waste ordinance, and we are not ready to make any recommendations on that yet. So I will move on to item 3. The committee recommends approval of the beverage operator license applications for Kayla N. Bartels, Liza L. Casperson, Natasha Delano, Kathy Delano, Erica Dutro, Rosita Eisenach, Catherine Faley, Sarah Featherston, Hannah Firestein, Lee Formella, Mark Hafman, Carla Klunt, Amanda Knutson, Tasha Martzel Shanahan, Sasha Milton, Ronnie Sue Moderson, Penny L. Myers, Casey J. Olson, Andrew K. Schleider, Samantha J. Springer, and Jessa M. Warhand. And I apologize for any mispronunciations, and I would so move.
There's a
Second.
We're going to throw a fake one in there sometime just to see.
Fourth page.
All right. There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom, to approve the list of beverage operator license applications.
What list?
Sorry? No. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye. All opposed vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
The committee recommends approving the beverage operator licenses for Lori A. Bordaluzzi and Michelle K. Lepak, contingent upon payment of all delinquent city fees, and I would so move.
Motion by Alderman Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor vote aye. All opposed vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
The committee recommends approval of the taxi license for Kids Cab LLC, 3019 West Spencer Street in Appleton, to expire June 30th, 2019, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Is there any discussion? I just have one that's kind of, when I was reading this earlier today. So if they're an Appleton cab company, why do they have to have a Neenah license? Pick up people here? They can bring people here, clearly, correct?
Right.
So it's just to... But if I pick someone up in Appleton, and I have an Appleton license, and they say, take me to Neenah,
That is true. The Appleton cab companies don't apply through us, but they prove to us that they are licensed elsewhere because they drive ours. So they send us proof that they're licensed and have the insurance requirements needed to be able to drive our street. So any cab that's driving the streets of Neenah should either have a Neenah license or have given us proof of a license elsewhere.
So any cab company, so any cab company, they have to have a license in Appleton, Menasha, Fox Crossing, Neenah. Okay, just curious. Alderman Stevenson?
What happens if a passenger wants to be picked up in Green Bay and brought to Neenah? Do we require them to get a license to bring the person here?
Presumably, they have a license point of origin.
Well, that's plays to the mayor's question.
Yeah, but typically, if they're not picking up people in Neenah, they won't be getting a Neenah license. They'll have a license.
I'm not going to belate the issue, but if somebody pays $100, they want to take a Green Bay cab to bring them down here, they're going to come and drive the streets in Neenah. They were the issue, but our logic seems.
Well, I don't know. It's just a comment. All right. Well, they applied for a license and they meet all the requirements. Okay. There's a motion and a second to approve the taxi license for Kids Cap LLC. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. Using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
The committee recommends denial of the extension to Class B retail license premises description for Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, 1111 West Town Drive, in order to add a car side to go service, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion and by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lundrum, to deny an extension of the Class B retail license premise description for Applebee's to add a car side to go service. And that car side to go, just so you know, is we're not taking away their ability to do what they do now, which is you can drive up and pick up food. Mm-hmm. This would add Class B packaged goods, like beer or alcohol if it was packaged. So, Alderman Kunz.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be voting against this. It's system-related ordinances or not, or other, what am I trying to say? Other issues have come to this committee, particularly I'm thinking of from a grocery store standpoint and now a restaurant. As anyone knows who saw me bike here, I'm not a big fan of driving in drive-throughs and drive-to-goes and all that kind of thing. But I do also understand the economics and the changing world we live in. I was just reading an article about the change happening from a grocery store standpoint and the struggles. And those things, same things happen within restaurants and everything else. I think when we start limiting what places can do, that I think are reasonable requests, again, this one's not asking for an additional place to sell alcohol, but doing it on their premises in a different way. And we're going to have to come to terms with that, and at least investigate it instead of, I think, too quickly denying it and not taking a closer look at what it means from a community development standpoint. At some point, do we start losing these businesses? I don't want to say the sky's falling and all of a sudden, but we're going to see this more and more, and the more denials, it just I think makes the neighborhood or this community doesn't give us the robustness I think I'd like to see. If anything else, at least a greater investigation of this.
Anyone else have any comments on this? Alderman Stevenson?
Thank you, Mayor. I also voted against it in committee. The motion to deny, much like Alderperson Kuntz's rationale, in fact, all the reasons he did. But I'll only add that when the last applicant came in, which was a large national chain grocer, the committee spent a large amount of time and challenged the grocer to answer questions and put a structure together to create comfort to in fact approve the request for an extension. And we answered every question. They answered every question that we asked of them, and then we denied it. So I much like Alderperson Kuntz says, I think if this was a realization that was kind of fleeting, then okay. But I think this is we're going to see more and more and more of this, and I think we put a good package together last time. And if we want to deny this one, okay. I mean, the way it was done and presented, understand that. But eventually, I think for us to remain competitive to recruit some of these places, we'll need to at least do a better job of answering why we don't.
Thank you. Attorney Godleski?
Just to remind the council that in connection with the Walmart application last year, the council did consider, the committee did consider two alternate versions of an ordinance change, one that would permit the drive-up alcohol sales and the other that prohibited, and ultimately the one that prohibited did pass the council in December. So that if there is a change of heart in that, in terms of granting that that a right to do that kind of delivery, there would be a need to change the ordinance again.
Alderman Lindrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very clear about why I didn't want Walmart, and I'm very clear why I don't want this. I am absolutely not convinced that I guess manager maybe, or an employee with a beverage operator license is able to discern as well as a beverage operator license inside, either an impaired driver, underage driver. It's rushed. Their whole goal with this business model, get in and get out. Get this person on the road fast. I simply don't believe that in the cold, when they run out in either circumstance, Walmart or this one too, that they are going to do as an effective job as somebody standing in front of them inside a building and presenting their license and presenting their countenance. So it's not fleeting at all to me. It's abundantly clear, and I'm probably never agree to do this. Whether it's our future, I think that it's you can buy anything online. I just don't think there's a shortage of the ability to buy alcohol in this city. And I just don't think you have to drive up and have it delivered to you. The minimal amount of effort, since it is alcohol, it's not food, that the minimum amount that we are asking, that I am asking, is that you present your license in person in front of them so they can assess your countenance and your driver's license. Thank you.
Thank you. I hesitate, but the person who would be taking it out would also have a beverage operator's license. Or possibly the same.
That's
person.
what I just said.
Pardon?
I said that.
It would be the same person as who is checking the ID on the inside, though. So
it's a different business model.
Okay.
Rushing out and delivering the food and getting the person out is different than the beverage operator license cashier that has to stand there anyway for their shift.
All right.
It's a different situation.
I didn't understand.
Yep.
I just wanted to be sure that in many cases it would be the exact same person.
That's not my point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alderman Boyette.
I was just curious, going back on the Walmart application, we had a lot of input from Neenah PD, and I'm just wondering if we had that this time around, and if so, what was theirs, and if not, why not? Anyone?
I think we didn't have the discussion because the council had made an earlier discussion, just as Jim pointed out, they had made an earlier decision that they weren't going to allow this. That's why. But I will say this, that I thought how we left that, and I don't know if we left it in a motion at the Walmart thing, but I think there was some agreement that the committee would, we had heard testimony that other neighboring communities like Grand Chute, Appleton, and that Green Bay were allowing that type of drive up, and that we would revisit the issue in a year from now to see. We'd asked Chief Wilkinson at the time. We asked him to see how it was going in other communities and if there were some of the problems that some members were concerned with. I don't know if it was an emotion or if we just kind of left it that we had the opportunity to revisit in a year back and look. But there was that discussion. Do you recall that, President Stevenson?
Not specifically.
Okay. So I think I've seen some heads nod. So go back. I'll look at the minutes and that. But I just me personally, and at the time I said I would like to see how this goes in other communities and see if some of the concerns that are being brought out by people are actually reality or not. Because I think as these stores in their business model, and myself as a business owner, nothing drives us more daddy than having government think that they can run our business better than we can. And I don't want to get in that whole discussion, but business owners, they look at trends, they look at national trends, they find out new things and they want to change their business model. We have to at least listen to that and see if it meets the requirements. And for some people, it will meet the requirements, and so for some people, it will not. So, so I'm in favor of revisiting the issue after a year. When we took the Walmart, I specifically told Walmart that I'd be open to asking the chairperson to take another look at it in a year and invite maybe Grand Chute and Appleton and see law enforcement and that to see if they've had any of those issues that were brought out as concerns. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the points we brought up when we denied Walmart and others from doing this was the state, I would want to say a professional who deals with this, made a point to say the more points of accessibility, the more problems you're going to have. And if we open this one out, just saying we think they're going to do fine, and it's kind of ignoring the whole situation and just doing it point by point. So I can understand that, looking at things in the future and also understanding the density of outlets would be important. Not to focus in on one right now when we still have no more information than we did then. The other thing is when you talk about businesses that they look at their own business thing, we are charged as local governments to control alcohol, and that's part of our job. So I don't see us as butting in, but as doing our job. Thank you.
That is the one area where government. Oh, anyone else have anything on this issue? So the motion is to deny the extension of the Class B retail license premise description so that Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar can add a car-side to-go service. There's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to deny will vote aye. Oppose will vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion, the motion to deny prevails 6-3.
Moving on to the June 12th meeting, committee recommends council adopt policy 2018-1, procedure for awarding Class B licenses, with the addition of a clause to allow consideration of applications on file. And the policy was included, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lundrum. I did receive a message a short time ago from Amy Barker, Executive Director. She wanted to come over. She's at the concert over there. She did answer some questions.
I'm coming to that.
Through myself and Chairperson Bates. So, Alderman Coons? Go ahead.
Are we talking about the same?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Did I miss it? Oh, I thought we were on the one that you had pulled out.
No,
of
that'll be last.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So my comments are hopefully not in contrast to what I just said earlier, but I have a concern with this policy in that its vagueness makes it ineffective. And I'll give a couple examples. One is if someone wants to open a place and it's in a commercial spot away from everything and wants to have, I don't know, wet t-shirt contests and all you can drink Thursdays where you can, for $10, all you can drink, kind of a thing. I go down this list and go, well, is it neighborhood compatibility? Well, it's out in the commercial district, not near anything. It probably, I'm not sure if we can apply that. It certainly meets zoning requirements. They've done other businesses. They don't have any issues. All those other kind of things. I look at that and go, well, I'm not sure what we could deny them on or if this would hold. So I'm concerned about that. At the same, and again, if we had unlimited licenses, well, I'd still be concerned. It's another thing to say we have limited licenses, and at some point, a restaurant wants to come in who, might be what everybody's been waiting for this restaurant to come in, but we don't have any licenses left, and they pay $10,000 because what t-shirt place, got a license. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. And yet I don't want to make a huge judgment about each place. I worked at a bar. It had on the sign when you walk in the door, no knives. That tells you the kind of place it was, but it was a great place. I mean, it was a right place for that community, and it worked. At the same time, there's also other establishments. I'll give a hypothetical that perhaps maybe only sell wine, for instance, yet want a full license. And part of the reason I think they'd want a full license is because it makes their business worth more, because our license that we give them becomes something they can sell when they sell their business. And at some point, we are giving out something that's worth something to these people and makes their business worth more, whether they need that license or don't need that license. And in here, there's nothing that would prevail that would say, at least the way I read it, that would say, no, we're not going to issue that license. We'd have to, because I don't see how we deny it based on what's laid out. So my concern is, and I said it earlier at one of the committee meetings, to me, for a business that sells food or brings something unique like a brewery, which becomes almost a tourist kind of thing. I've gone to brewery places because it becomes this kind of sense of community, this whole kind of thing. So different places bring different weight to a community, and other ones bring a different weight. I don't know how you judge that, and I'd be a tough judge of that. And that's why I look at whether you look at food or something else. But this, we look at how many parking spaces and whatever else. Well, I've been on the Planning Commission long enough to know that amazing things can meet all our codes, and it'd be something we really don't want, but it meets the codes and we have to pass it because that's our rules. And so I'm worried about, first of all, whether these rules whether we could even apply them and how much we could apply them without being sued because we made some judgment call about some place based on these. It's a concern. Again, we only have 38 licenses. We have 36, 2 people waiting and maybe more. And I'm happy that we have businesses. I'm happy to give those out. But I'm trying to find a happy way of managing this. I said enough, but I worry this is not going to work well.
All right. Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. I understand your concerns. And it came out of the fact that we have a limited number of licenses and we have people on reserve, and they got in on the $10,000, but they got the grants back. And we can't do that anymore. I think this is a first shot at figuring out how an establishment affects the community in a positive way, in the sense of community development, getting involved. I understand it's very difficult you can't judge on one thing or another, but in this case, it would not be the fact that one place that doesn't improve the community development, even the businesses or in the area would get it because they were in first, and that's kind of how we've done it. I believe that these points were developed in another community, and that's how our city attorney, and I'll ask him to say where it came from and how they've had it in for at least a year, I believe.
This is the template that I used was a policy that was adopted in the city of Wausau and successfully implemented, so it's very similar to that. The difference is in how we're handling the Class B reserve licenses. It's still the standards, the 9 standards that are listed there were utilized by Wausau successfully in making the determination. Again, what we'll be looking at is there'd be multiple applicants for one license or minimal licenses, so you're going to have to make a choice between them. And the idea is, what do you compare them on? These are the factors, and conceivably, one applicant will be more compatible with the neighborhood, or may have another applicant's manager may have more experience. There'll be some objective way of measuring that.
Thank you. And how long have they had this?
I want to say 2 years.
Thank you.
Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I hate to speak twice on this one, but two things. One is what I look for in combination with this, and maybe we work on it at a later date, is, how do you end up keeping a license? Or, at least my impression is once you have a license, you have a license unless you give it up, because I don't know if we've ever taken one away. I'm not sure we have any real direct rules on how you would. Now, obviously, if someone does something major, there's probably something in there that we can kind of get at, but we've got a limited number of licenses. We don't really have, at least in my mind, a very clear way of weeding out, saying you're not meeting up to what we expect. You are declining the neighborhood, not increasing it. Whatever it is, I don't know. That they've, whether they have they sold somebody drinks underage, whatever it might be. Or have fights, or the police show up, or the police have to spend a bunch of extra time there instead of helping protect the community. All those different issues. So it'd be great to see that in conjunction with this. That's where I'm at. Ultimately, I'm stuck here where I'll probably end up voting for this, because to deny it would be to put nothing in place. And so I don't want to do that, but I guess I at least wanted to state that I'm looking for something more, and particularly as we start running out of licenses, we'll see what happens. But thanks.
Pretty good, Les.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Coons, there are parameters for suspending or revoking licenses in statute, and that's what we rely on. There has to be just cause in order to do that. We have, in fact, in the past, taken action against licensed police fire. Recent example about 2009, if I recall correctly. So there is examples of that. We have also taken action in regards to the requirement that the licensee be opened a certain amount of hours or days during the year in order to maintain that license. The predecessor to Green's Poorhouse was subject to actions on that. Because they had not opened up, but so we have had some circumstances where Chief Spar being the principal one, where there have been some incidents relating to that. That one ultimately settled before we took it all the way to final action, and it was ultimately taken over by another party. But we did take action on that case, and there are standards in the statute for that.
Anyone else? So, item that I brought up yet. We're on item number 1 of recommending the council adopt policy 2018-1. Be no further discussion. All in favor of that will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, using the roll call. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council approve the boiler replacement quote from Energy Control and Design in the amount of $69,068 with funding to come from the Facilities Reserve Fund, and I would so move.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the boiler replacement quote from. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion? Aye. All opposed, no. Using. That motion also passes 9-0, and then I would like just to ask you to hold up for 1 second. Clerk Stern has something on the last.
Okay, now that policy has passed, I have 2 applications on file. Am I supposed to send them back to the Public Services and Safety Committee? I had another phone call today asking how many licenses we have, and I don't know what to tell them. So should we send those 2 apps back to Public Services and Safety on July 10th for you to act on?
We just create a committee that they would go to.
Yeah.
So schedule a meeting of that committee. Review subcommittee.
Okay.
That's what the policy says.
That's what we'll do then. We'll send them to that committee.
Will that policy take effect?
And don't we have to publish it too? So if anybody else wants to get that license?
We
Publish the fact that there are open.
Yes. In the policy, yes. They will be processed pursuant to the policy.
Great. Item number 3. Chairperson Bates.
Moving off of the consent agenda, the committee recommends approval of a temporary Class B license to Future Neenah, Inc., 135 West Wisconsin Avenue, for their Manhole Cover Madness event to be held on September 8th, 2018, and I moved it because I had some extra information, and I would move for approval.
The motion by Alderman Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lundrum. I'll withhold my comments. Go ahead, Alderman.
What we had discussion on in this was it's a change of venue into a different area of the city where we will not be having a contained beer area. We had another one on the Bazaar After Dark, same type of situation, and at that point we said we were looking at things to see how we would handle these, and in this case we're looking at to see what would our own experience be and use them as test cases. I did talk with the director of Future Neenah, and Ms. Barker said that they would be having security. They would be dressed as security. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just 2 people. It was somebody enough to patrol the area. And hopefully the police have got the same information that we do and on what areas it's going to be and when the times are going to be. I did mention to her, I said, what was the reason for the first event downtown, which doesn't have neighborhoods directly abutting it? Remind me what the reason was that you couldn't put fencing up. And she said it had to do with the physical, what was underground. They couldn't get the stakes in deep enough to actually have the snow fencing like we did at other events. So that was that. And I specifically told her, I said, we are using the Bazaar After Dark, checking things out, making sure that there's somebody to check to see that you're not taking these beers or whatever into the people's neighborhoods, into their yards, and depositing them there. And the fact that this is kind of, we're still looking at the issue, and if things don't go well, if we hear from neighbors that things are going bad, we will seriously take a look at this. So this is why I thought it would be all right for this time to go through without. And then I also figured that we need to come October, we discussed this in the committee, October or so, look at what these events did, how they were affecting anyone, and then figure out with information what we should do.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. I'll just add, after talking to Amy Barker, she informed me that this event, the manhole event, will have wristbands. They will have signage that says no alcohol outside this area. And the Washington Park is listed in the application. Washington Park is only for parking vehicles in the parking. So they're not going to be able, they're not using the park for anything as part of the, I just would add those three things. Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. After the last, well, not the last, but one of many events they've put on, that was the Boogie and Yo-Yos, by Future Neenah. I sent a thank you email to Amy Barker, thanking her for what they do in the city to bring the community together, to create these events that, to me, are what community is all about, from the concerts going on tonight to, the lake events in connection with the city, to so many events, being a strong partner, and I think with a good track record of events and that they've had, I feel real confident in what they do. This isn't some organization that comes by and isn't around here. They're right in our downtown. They're right here. They are connected to us in so many ways that bring such great value to the city. I support what they do, and I feel strongly that this event will be like all their events, a fabulous event.
Alderman Bates.
One thing that's different about this is we are so close to the residents now. We're not in a public space on the water and a big street away from anybody. Businesses in between, things like that. So that's the reason why they're a little bit different. This and the Manhole Madness.
Anyone else? Seeing no other discussion, Alderman Bates moves, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thanks for your report. Item number D, there's no report. Item E was canceled. Item number F is the regular Finance Personnel Committee meeting of June 11, 2018. Chairperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of July 11th, 2018. The minutes can be found on the city website. The committee recommends council approve the execution of the contract with the Associated Appraisal Consultants, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $90,000 to provide necessary property valuation services for the compilation of the city's 2019 property reevaluation, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Coons.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, using the roll call machine, please.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council authorize changing the police captain.
That motion passes 9-0.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, that motion passes 9-0. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council authorize changing the police captain of operations title to assistant police chief, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Any questions? Alderman Bates.
For the people at home, could we clarify who's going to become what now? We have names of actual peoples.
We don't have anyone to fill the spot right now. We're running a process.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Chief.
We're running a process both internally and externally, so it's includes some applicants from inside and nationally. To become
So who was the previous police captain of? Oh, I was thinking it was the other way around.
We are considering this position as we would consider any other position. We're looking inside, and we're also opening it up to the external candidates. And so Director Barber's part of that search, and so that's where we're at. Thanks, Chief. We let you go early for your cake the last time, but not this time. So All right, so any other questions on this item? Being none, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no using the roll call machine.
Item number 3, the committee recommends.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Danielle left, right? Yeah. Close her out. No, close her out. Here.
So the vote and then make her absent. They vote. There we go.
AT guy. There you go. Everyone, all those in favor vote aye, all opposed vote no. That motion passes 8-0 with 1 absent. Go ahead.
Item number 3, the committee recommends council adopt resolution number 2018-17 designating polling places in the city of Neenah, Wisconsin, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2018-17 regarding the polling places in the city of Neenah. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I would ask the city clerk to tell us what way we are going to inform people of these and when.
On July 9th, there will be a postcard mailing going out. We're mailing approximately 9,000 postcards to voters that are affected by this change. The postcard tells them where their new polling place is. The mayor's assistant, Joni, also indicated she would do some stuff on Facebook, and also she's going to do a press release on this sometime early July.
And as I understand, you're also going to be putting signs up at the old places telling them.
We have signs set to put up at the old polling places both in August and November. And if you watch the Channel 2 news at 10 o'clock tonight, you'll hear all about it. They were here today asking.
I was just going to say that.
So,
and I have to text Jason Zimmerman from Channel 2 News by 8:30. He told me to tell him the outcome. So
quick.
So okay,
good timing. But the other thing we're going to do, another thing that's being worked on right now is IT is updating the Who's My Alderman or the web page regarding where do I vote. So where do I vote will tell people, and Joni's going to have a presence on Facebook and the website. And we'll try to do some educational things. Gretchen at the library said she'll have some educational things or be able to put up some things. So, yeah, we're going to get the word out. I assume the first one, there'll be a little
letter.
There'll be some. Yeah, there will be a newsletter before August. That's a good idea, too. Yeah, so there'll be one newsletter going out. So we'll put that in a prominent place. Thank you. And then WHBY, my monthly radio show, will be another place. We'll be able to discuss that. So go ahead, Alderman.
Clarifying the 9,000, is that every residential property in that area or previous voters?
that is all registered voters in those 4 polling places.
Registered, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
But the other thing we're going to do, it is out on our website already. If you go look, it is out on our website. And we have changed the My Vote Wisconsin site. So anybody that goes onto that site to register, and we have been getting quite a few online registrations lately, anyone that goes online is given the new polling place. So that has all been addressed.
Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think with Community Fest, we also have Riverside Players starting tomorrow. A couple opportunities. If we had a poster that said, here's our new voting areas. I mean, we've got a lot of events where we pull in a lot of people. An opportunity.
Okay, thank you. And I think, just so folks know, I mean, our clerk, Sturm, and a lot of people kind of hit the ground running on this when we learned from the school district that we were, we're going to be, asked to leave. They did a good job of, searching out and finding some new places. There are some challenges with the new places. They're not as big. And I've already talked to Pat about maybe in one or two of them, during inclement weather, we'll look at some sort of temporary structure, carport things or something. People aren't outside in the elements and that help out, but we'll see. Okay. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
Item number 4, committee recommends council adopt resolution number 2018-19, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents relating to the Fox Cities Sports Facility Project, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Discussion? Seeing Alderman Bates?
Always Alderman Bates here. I noticed in the termination clause in this, it says when we will no longer be under this, when the bonds are fulfilled, paid off. Now, does that mean, because we have several bonds that are hanging out there for the 10%, does that mean the bonds specific to this? I couldn't find the words that would say these bonds. It just the bonds, and I wanted to make sure that if one of them's still outstanding for the exhibition center and this one's paid off, we get the 3%. That's not tied up in that anymore.
The 3% would still be collected, but it would be available for other projects.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say this contract and this arrangement, I think, was every bit, if not more, complicated than the exhibition center. But I have to say the process was night and day from my perspective. I think it was the inclusion that happened here, in which staff members or directors from many different municipalities were involved in this process, and the difference I think that made this is how it should work. That inclusion, it just makes that process so much smoother. It makes me feel much more comfortable knowing that we had people, all these different cities had different people working in different areas to look over this, check it out, and be involved in that whole setup. It's a model for how it should be. When unfortunately, the exhibition center was a model for how it shouldn't be. And the contrast is stark, and I wanted to point it out because I'd much rather, if we have regional, and I hope there are more regional projects we work on, whether it's through any number of ways, I hope there's more of them. And I wanted to at least point out that this is a process I'd love to see them take. Any project we get, what happened here. So thank you.
We're going to break for a minute, okay? We're going to take 5-minute break, okay? All right.
Yeah, what about me?
Mother taught
Dan,
actually
ready?
my dad.
All right, we will apologize for that. We'll come back and go back into session. We were in the middle of a roll call. There was a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. I did not see any further discussion, so I was ready to call the vote. I do want to point out that Pam Seidel from the Fox Cities Convention and Visitor Bureau is here, along with Matt, who is here, and we appreciate you coming in case there was any questions or anything. So with that,
Just say something.
Alderman Stevenson?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to dovetail on Alderperson Kunz's comments about the process here. Kudos to those involved and the communities involved to recognize the value in this process as opposed to the aforementioned project. and that those communities that have recognized the urgency and responded, kudos to them.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. All in favor of adopting resolution number 2018-19, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents relating to the Fox City Sports Facility Project will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you for coming. All right. Item number 10, regular plan commission meeting of June 26, 2018. Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Plan Commission meeting of June 26th, 2018. Plan Commission recommends approval of the preliminary plat, 5 lots of first addition to the Southfield subdivision with the following conditions. Number 1, a development agreement shall be drafted which includes the various fees and responsibilities of the developer and city, including prior to the development of the approval of the final plat. Number 2, submission of an official street map amendment to remove the east-west mapped street between Bruce Street and South Commercial Street. And number 3, removing the Southfield Way street name from the final plat and only showing the Southfield Court street name. And I would so move.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Lang, seconded by Alderman Erickson. Any comments or questions? Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. Am I mistaken, but the June 26 minutes have not come out from that meeting?
That meeting was just held last night.
So I was wondering if it's just a little different to be able to understand what might have gone on in the meeting. So I would ask Alderman Lang if there was any other discussion or clarifications of anything in there, or was it just pretty much straightforward with these 3 additions?
It was pretty much straightforward with those 3 additions. If
Pretty much.
Brad Schmidt would like to say anything regarding that, otherwise I'd say it was straightforward.
There was one neighbor who was there to kind of see what was going on. He didn't have any objections. Prepared to move forward? Right. If so, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine.
Is not voting the same as abstain? It's a yellow button. No, I meant the button. I want to know how to abstain.
Not voting.
That's what not voting.
Not voting.
Thank you.
That motion passes 7-1 with 1 abstention. Board of Public Works meeting of June 26, 2018. Vice Chairperson Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. From this meeting, we have 1 informational item. Board action on pay estimate number 2 for contract 3-18 Nature Trail Subdivision Street Construction to MCC Incorporated Appleton in the amount of $505,089.25.
Thank you very much. That's for information only. Item number D, the Board of Public Works meeting of June 12, 2018. Also Vice Chairperson Hillstrom.
Thank you again, Mayor. These minutes can be found on the city website, just like the previous information. There are 5 informational items under this meeting this evening. A is the board approved change order number 1 for contract 1-18 sewer and water main and street construction on Andrew Avenue, Richard Avenue, Geiger Street, and Whiting Court. The David Tenner Corporation, Green Bay, in the amount of $16,504. Item B, the board approved pay estimate number 3 for contract 1-18 miscellaneous sewer and water main construction and street construction on Andrew Avenue, Richard Avenue, Geiger Street, and Whiting Court to David Tenner Corporation, Green Bay, for $205,343.39. Item C, the board approved pay request number 7 for contract PR 01-17, Fox River Loop the Lake project in the amount of $124,034.05 to Pfeiffer Brothers Construction of Neenah. Item D, the board approved change order number 5 for contract PR 01-17, the Fox River Loop the Lake project in the amount of $24,734.20 for the Gateway Arches, and revised substantial completion, final completion date change to Pfeiffer Brothers Construction, Neenah. And the last item is E, the board recommended Water Commission award contract number 3512-18-01 in the amount of $396,821 to August Winter and Sons, Appleton. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item number E is Community Development Authority update. Is there any update, Director Hayes?
The CDA hasn't met in a while, but we are scheduling a meeting in late July to begin some of the declaration of blight on 2 properties, the warehouse property on Mill Street and the Neenah Foundry site just north of the Winnie County overpass at Harrison Street. We have also had a significant interest in several different possible redevelopment projects in and around the downtown, all of which are very preliminary at this point, but we are hopeful that some of those will turn into real projects. So that's it for now.
Report from the Library Board, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Library Board met on June 20th, Wednesday, June 20th. The youth program is off to a very successful start, and I'd like to remind people that there is an adult summer reading program as well. So if you're interested in doing that, you can fill out information online and be registered for prizes. And I'd like to remind everybody that this summer, the library is open on Sundays, so you can visit the library on Sundays. So if you'd like to get more information, please visit the Neenah Library website for additional details and summer hours. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. We also have a report from the Neenah Arts Council also.
I'd like to delay that report. Our next meeting is July 11th at City Hall at 4 o'clock, so I'd like to delay the report until after.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll delay that till the next meeting. Thank you. Any other petitions? There are no petitions. Any council directives anyone would like to address? Any unfinished business? Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. With the wonderful opening this Saturday of the Loop the Lake, there was some consideration on getting things done at a particular time frame. I wanted to let some of the neighbors know along West North Water, the one that's next door to where the bridge gets out, that the bushes that are planted there are currently viburnum. They are in pots still. That's where I believe we were supposed to have evergreens. And from what Mike Kading, the director of parks, was saying, that those are some of the things that will be changed over. But in order to get the site ready for that event, there was a few changes put in temporarily.
There are no bushes there at all.
Oh.
That's the update.
That probably makes them feel even better.
Update. So, no, those were there for the opening day. They'll be put in very shortly.
And I know the neighbors are very concerned about that, so I just want to let them know.
Okay. Yeah, and the owner of that property emailed me this afternoon at 3 o'clock, so I'll get back to it tomorrow. So thank you for that. New business, there will be an appointment to fill the expired term of Steve Grease, Ron Klatt, and Monica Larrabee as second alternate on the Landmarks Commission for a 3-year term to expire July 2021. I believe I'm also looking for one more for the Landmarks Commission. Discuss cancellation of the July 4th, 2018 council meeting. We actually have to take official action on that. Okay. So at this point, we changed this meeting so that unless anything pressing came up, but July 4th is holiday, so we will not meet that night. And then any other announcements or
the
questions?
Next meeting would be then?
July 18th. July 18th will be the next regularly scheduled meeting, since we will not be meeting in on the 4th of July. So with that, I'd just like to also just very quickly, because I know we're here longer than we thought we would be, but congratulate everyone on the Loop to Lake and thank the council for all the hard work and dedication, and Park Commission. There's so many people to thank, and it really did go off well, getting a lot of good comments. People are utilizing it already, and it really turned out really nice, and there's a lot of people to thank, including future Neenah and Pfeiffer Brothers. Well, just once more, I want to thank Mike Pfeiffer and Mike and Mona Pfeiffer and the Pfeiffer Brothers Company for their generous donation and the good job and the hard work they did, and all the people who donated funds to make this happen, including the state of Wisconsin stewardship fund. So a lot of people, and a perfect example of cooperation between all the communities. So that was quite an event. Just a quick reminder, July 3rd is a lighted street parade. Begins about 9:15 in Neenah. The two mayors will have a float once again. I believe Alderman Stevenson sent something out. The councils are invited if they would like to do the lighted street parade with us. And that's at night on the 3rd. July 4th, there's activities all day long, starting at 8 a.m. in Riverside Park and going till the fireworks. So that's a great community event, and there's brochures available, or you can go online to see what's all going on. July 16th through the 29th, I will be out of town on my Alaskan adventure with my wife. So Council President Stevenson will be mining the fort and signing any documents that need to be signed for staff or anything, and also doing the council meeting on the 18th or 19th, 18th, and that. So, pardon? 16th through the 29th. So, I'll be checking my emails regularly, but other than that, and lastly, I do want to remind the public of kind of a unique event happening in Neenah, and that's Bazaar After Dark. They've successfully had these in Appleton, Menasha, Kaukauna, Little Chute, and it's going to be quite an event. It's on July 19th, which is a Thursday night. I believe it goes from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it will be up and down Commercial Street from approximately Family Video to Fox Valley Dental, just past Papa's. There will be a lot of goings-ons and food trucks and arts and crafts and one beer tent and some bands, and it's going to be quite an event. So we welcome and hope that a lot of people show up for that event on 19th of July on South Commercial. So with that, Alderman Lang, you have one?
I just wanted to say we'll also be dedicating our second traffic signal box wrap that night at 6 o'clock on the corner of Commercial and Cecil Streets in conjunction with the Bazaar After Dark.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything?
I just want to remind everybody that the Bergstrom Mahler Museum of Glass annual art fair is going to be July 15th, Sunday, July 15th. So I encourage everybody to attend.
Good. All right, anything else? Seeing nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Alderman Lundrum, seconded by
Second.
Alderman Lang. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin, Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.